of learning, Abu Hanifa spent much time traveling and acquiring knowledge from various sources. His main teacher was Hamad, whose school was the most popular in Iraq. Amongst his pupils were the most eminent minds and scholars of the day. Hamad, being a rich man, was able to devote most of his time to the teaching of his pupils. On the first day of attending Hamad's lectures, Abu Hanifa was made to sit on the left, the row for beginners. But within a few days, Hamad had pointed Abu Hanifa out as the student with the best memory and intelligence, and asked him to sit directly in front of him. Abu Hanifa attended Hamad's classes for the next 18 years until Hamad died. There were virtually no scholars in Iraq at whose feet Abu Hanifa did not sit. Islam had spread at lightning speed across the Arabian Peninsula and beyond, and with it the companions had dispersed to far and distant lands, taking their knowledge with them. In order to learn the various traditions, Abu Hanifa knew he would have to travel to various parts of the Islamic world. Basra had emerged as a rival center for learning. It had become a treasure house of traditions of the Holy Prophet, mostly due to the presence of Hassan al-Basri. Before long, Abu Hanifa made his way to Basra. Also present in Basra was Sha'beh, a companion of Hassan al-Basri and a great scholar in his own right. Soon, Abu Hanifa was attending the classes of Sha'beh, and it wasn't long before his intelligence was again noticed. Often, in his absence, Sha'beh would praise Abu Hanifa.
Just as I know the sun is bright, I know for certain that learning and Abu Hanifa are doubles of each other.
Abu Hanifa's intelligence and quick understanding were becoming renowned. Yahya bin Mu'in, one of the teachers of Imam Bukhari, observed,
"It is enough for me to know that Sha'beh permitted him to teach hadith and narration. Sha'beh, after all, was Sha'beh."
Abu Hanifa spent his time with other various teachers in different parts of Iraq, but now the time had come for him to travel to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, the fountainheads of religious learning. Mecca was a city bulging with masters of the prophetic tradition, who had had access to the companions. The birthplace of Islam and home to the Kaaba, it had numerous visitors, being both a center of knowledge and a bustling trade city. The most popular and respected school in Mecca was that of Atta bin Abi Rabeh. Soon Abu Hanifa was attending his lectures, and it wasn't long before Atta would order room to be made for Abu Hanifa at the front of the class whenever he attended. His keen intellect had once again made an impression, and Atta realized that he indeed had before him a most brilliant student. Also in Mecca at the time was Ikrimah, the pupil of the great companion Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Ikrimah had also learnt Islamic knowledge from other companions such as Ali ibn Abi Talib and Abu Huraira. Soon, Abu Hanifa was attending his classes and excelling as he always did. Medina was a treasure house of hadith and the Prophet's home in his last days as well as his resting place. When Abu Hanifa arrived in Medina, two of the main sources of knowledge and rulings were Sulayman and Salim bin Abdullah. Sulayman had been a servant of the Prophet's wife Maimuna, and Salim was the grandson of Umar ibn al-Khattab. Abu Hanifa attended both classes and sat and learnt traditions from them. He was to travel many times to Mecca and Medina. On each occasion he would sit with his teachers and learn traditions. While in Medina he sat with Imam Malik and attended his lectures. Although Imam Malik was 13 years his junior, Abu Hanifa would sit and listen to traditions from him. On one occasion, the great scholar Abdullah bin Mubarak was sitting with Imam Malik when an older man entered. Imam Malik hastened him to sit beside him and received him with great honor and respect. After he had left, Imam Malik turned to Abdullah.
Do you know who this man was? He was Abu Hanifa of Iraq, who, if he wanted to, could prove this pillar to have been made of gold.
Abu Hanifa's reputation was spreading fast, yet all was not good. Many scholars of this period, without meeting Abu Hanifa, were led to believe that he relied upon his own reasoning and analogy rather than the prophetic hadith in solving legal problems. On one visit to Medina, Abu Hanifa met Imam Bakir, a member of the family of the Prophet of Allah. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Imam Bakir held a similar opinion of Abu Hanifa.
So you are the one who contradicts the tradition of my grandfather on the basis of analogy?
God forbid! Who dare contradict hadith? After you resume your seat, sir, I shall explain my position. Who is the weaker, man or woman?
Woman.
Which of them is entitled to the larger share in the inheritance?
The man.
Now, if I'd been making deductions by analogy, I should have said that the woman should get the larger share, because on the face of it, the weaker one is entitled to more consideration. But I have not said so. To take up another subject, which do you think is the higher duty, prayer or fasting?
Prayer.
That being the case, it should be permissible for a woman during her menstruation to delay her prayers and miss her fasts. But the ruling I give is that she can delay her fasting, but need not make up her prayers.
So impressed was Imam Bakir with Abu Hanifa that he kissed his forehead. Abu Hanifa learnt much from Imam Bakir as well as from his son, Imam Jafir Sadiq. Abu Hanifa's reputation and popularity spread like wildfire. Soon, news of his imminent arrival in a village or town would bring thousands to assemble and meet him and listen to his lectures. It was a popularity that was not to go unnoticed by the ruling establishment. Although Abu Hanifa had reached the level of mujtahid in Islam, that is, somebody who was able to derive rulings directly from the Quran and Hadith, it wasn't until after the death of his teacher, Hamad, that he would establish his own school. Circumstances dictated that he take up the professorial chair that was once occupied by his teacher. In the initial stages, only former pupils of Hamad attended the classes. Yet in a few days its popularity grew to such an extent that most of the other schools in Kufa closed down and became part of Abu Hanifa's. Barring Spain, all parts of the Islamic world were represented in his school. From Mecca to Baghdad, from Damascus to Algiers, and from Georgia to Bukhara, all came in search of knowledge. Abu Hanifa's influence was as far-reaching as the territory of the Caliph. While Abu Hanifa was busy imparting his knowledge on all those around him, major changes were happening in the political establishment. Rebellions and revolts were taking place in different parts of the Umayyad Caliphate. Caliphs would come and go, yet the troubles remained all the same. During this period, the conspiracy to install the Abbasids on the caliphal throne was gaining pace. The Umayyad Caliphate was made up from the tribe of Banu Umayyah. The rival tribe of Banu Abbas longed for political authority and power, and soon set about dethroning their tribal rivals. These were not the only problems at the time. With the spread of Islam to far and distant lands, new concepts and philosophies began to creep into Islamic thought, giving rise to sometimes heretical beliefs and sects. Chief amongst these groups were the Mu'tazilites and the Kharijites. The Mu'tazilites were heavily influenced by Greek philosophy and rationalism. The Kharijites held the belief that if anyone committed a sin in Islam, they automatically became a disbeliever. They also held that those who do not agree with their views were also disbelievers. On one occasion, a group of Kharijites burst into the Imam's class with the intention of killing him and his pupils.
Who are you people?
People seeking refuge. Allah has said, if any polytheist seeks refuge, give it to him, so that he may listen to Allah's speech, and then escort him to a place of safety.
Upon hearing Abu Hanifa's response, the leader of the Kharijites turned to the rest of his group.
Recite the Quran for them to hear, and then escort them to their homes.
The quick thinking and intelligence of Abu Hanifa had disarmed the Kharijites. They had come with the intention of asking him his beliefs and then assassinating him. But Abu Hanifa's use of this verse placed an obligation upon them. They considered him a polytheist, yet the verse commanded that they protect him. Abu Hanifa was to have many encounters with the Kharijites and was to become a thorn in their side that they could find no way of removing. The Kharijites also believed that arbitration was forbidden. For this reason, they condemned Ali over his disputes with Muawiyah, in which he sought arbitration and mediation through others. On one occasion, a well-known Kharijite leader by the name of Dahak confronted Abu Hanifa over the position of Ali, armed with a sword and pointing it at him.
Repent!
Repent from what?
I am told that you maintain that Ali agreed to have his dispute with Muawiyah decided by arbitration. As he was in the right, how could he agree to arbitration?
If it is your wish to put me to death, I have nothing to say. But if you wish to find out the truth, then permit me to argue the question with you.
I want to debate with you.
If we cannot decide the issue between ourselves, what then?
We can appoint somebody as an umpire. He can do it.
This is exactly what Ali did. Why blame him for it?
Dahak realized immediately that just as he in that very moment had asked for mediation, Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, had done just the same. Outwitted and realizing the foolishness of his argument, Dahak retired quietly. Abu Hanifa's reputation and brilliant mind were now well established. His influence was so vast, the Umayyad court began to suspect his complicity in every rebellion that took place against the ruling authority, although this was not true. Abu Hanifa tried to distance himself from the palaces of the ruling elite, fearing its attractions would destroy him. He would be immensely wary of having close ties with the ruling authority. He once said of visiting the Caliph,
Go rarely to see him, and beware of him as if he were fire. Never go to the court except for some specific purpose, lest you lose the respect you enjoy there. Should the king offer you the post of judge, do not accept it without making sure that he approves of your exercising your personal judgment, lest you should have to act against it under official pressure. Never accept a position you are not fit to hold.
Once, a governor of Kufa by the name of Ibn Hubayra approached Abu Hanifa.
I would consider it a favor if you could come and see me occasionally.
What is the point in my visiting you? If you treat me kindly, I might fall into your trap. If, on the other hand, you receive me rudely, I would consider it a disgrace. I do not need anything from your treasury, and whatever I have, nobody can snatch away from me.
During the reign of the Caliph Marwan al-Himar, Yazid bin Umar Hubayra was appointed governor of Iraq. He gave political positions to outstanding authorities in Islamic law, such as Ibn Abu Layla and Dawood bin Hind. Fully aware of the excellence of Abu Hanifa, he offered him the post of chief treasurer, a post Abu Hanifa had no intention of taking up.
If Yazid were to ask me to count the doors of the mosques, I would not agree to do it for him, not to speak of my sealing the death warrant of a Muslim signed by him.
Yazid, furious with the response, ordered Abu Hanifa to be imprisoned and whipped 100 times daily. Suffering immense pain and torture, Abu Hanifa did not relent on his position, and Yazid was forced to stop the punishment. Then, in the year 132 Hijri, events took a new and dramatic turn. After all the years of plotting and planning, the Abbasids finally succeeded in overthrowing the Umayyads. Amongst the early Abbasid caliphs was Mansur. During his reign, rebellions were taking place all over the new dynasty. In the name of order, they would be quashed with brutal ferocity. Abu Hanifa had been watching the excesses of the Abbasids from the beginning of their reign and quickly concluded that they were not fit to be caliphs. He did not hide his views. This made him many enemies in the caliph's court. Rabi', the Caliph Mansur's chamberlain, was particularly hostile to Abu Hanifa. Using any opportunity he could find, he would try to bring harm to him. On one occasion, Abu Hanifa was summoned to the Caliph's court with Rabi' in attendance. Rabi' saw this as a perfect opportunity to do away with Abu Hanifa.
Commander of the faithful, this man contradicts your well-revered ancestor, Abdullah ibn Abbas. Your ancestor said that if a man took a vow and uttered the phrase, Inshallah, a day or two later, the phrase would be considered as forming part of his vow, and it would not therefore be incumbent upon him any longer to fulfill the vow. Contrary to this, Abu Hanifa gives the ruling that if the phrase Inshallah was spoken along with the vow, it would be considered as part of the vow, while otherwise it would be utterly meaningless and ineffectual.
Commander of the faithful, Rabia thinks that the oaths of allegiance to you that people take is ineffectual.
How is that?
He supposes that people, after swearing allegiance to you in your court, say Inshallah when they go home, and thus absolve themselves from their oath, so that they are no longer liable in any legal penalty for breaking it.
You cannot trick Abu Hanifa.
Abu Hanifa and Rabi then proceeded to leave the palace and met up with one another in the courtyard.
You very nearly got me put to death today.
It was your intention to get me put to death. I only defended myself.
Not for the first time, Abu Hanifa's intelligence and quick thinking had saved him. On another occasion, Abul Abbas, who held a high position in Mansur's court, saw Abu Hanifa presenting himself to the Caliph on some business. He confided in his colleagues that this day he would make sure Abu Hanifa did not leave the court alive. Hence, he approached Abu Hanifa.
Abu Hanifa. It sometimes happens that the commander of the faithful orders us to put somebody to death, without our knowing whether or not the man is guilty and merits being put to death. In such cases, ought we to carry out the order, or to refuse to do so?
Are the Caliph's orders, in your opinion, right or wrong?
With the Caliph present, it was unthinkable that Abul Abbas would say the Caliph's orders were wrong.
Why, of course they are correct.
Then it was unnecessary for you to ask for my views.
Once again, the foolishness of his enemies was highlighted. The Caliph Mansur remained hostile and deeply suspicious of Abu Hanifa. However, there was no greater scholar alive, and Mansur knew this. For this reason, he offered him the post of judge. Abu Hanifa refused.
I am not fit for this post.
You are a liar?
If I am a liar, then my statement that I am unfit for the post of judge is true, because a liar cannot be appointed a judge.
I swear I will make you accept this post.
And I swear that I will never take it.
These events and others finally led to Mansur imprisoning Abu Hanifa. Often he would send for him and hold religious debates, yet Mansur had no intention of ever releasing Abu Hanifa.